Hey everybody, welcome back to the Lawn Road Podcast. My name is Gabe Gooden, I'm the owner of Kaleo Lawn Care, and I'm on the lawn road to building the best residential lawn care company in Colorado Springs, and this podcast is just documenting my journey in doing that. So if you guys are new to the podcast, welcome. If you guys are returning, thanks for being here. Excited to talk some more lawn stuff. Today, I'm talking, well, first of all, I'm rocking the Kaleo hoodie as well as the Kaleo hat. A big part of this industry is appearance, so you gotta look sharp out there cutting grass. So yeah, we do custom shirts, hoodies, and hats. We also have water bottles, notebooks, obviously business cards, mugs. We try to do it all. We gotta build the brand, so I think merch is an important part of that. Also, the clients love merch around Christmas time. So last year I did mugs. This year, 2023 I did coffee mugs. They looked really nice. I don't have one with me. And then last year I did water bottles. Got raving reviews by a lot of people for all of those. So I'm going to keep doing that. I got to figure out what to do for next Christmas, 2025. But we'll figure it out. Man, this week is going really well. It's cold outside in Colorado Springs. In Colorado Springs, we usually get a good amount of snow. This year's been weird. In November, we got record snow. We got like 30 inches, I think, that dropped in 48 hours, which is a record over the last, I think it was since the 80s, maybe. But then we had nothing in December, really, and then we've had just a little bit here in January. But it is what it is. We can talk about snow removal on a different episode, but it is something to think about. I do all of my snow contracts either monthly or seasonally. And I think it's really important, especially for us, either just like self-employed people like me at the moment who don't have any employees, or the other way around, to have a set income that you can bring in every month is very important at this stage of the business. So I'd highly recommend getting people on a subscription-based service, so that even if it's not as much money as you'd like, at least you have it each month. Especially for my wife and I, that's been huge. Today, we're not talking about snow, though. We're talking about electric tools. Everything is kind of changing these days as new technology's coming out, and there's been a lot of advancements recently in the electric tool game, and I got in on it, and I've been enjoying it. And I've been learning a lot working with these tools. And I want to share with you guys my experiences with it, the brand that I use, what I've found to be very effective, and then some things that are definitely holdups that need to be worked on. But everything I'm going to talk about that's a con today is going to get fixed in time. I'm very confident in that. There is no stopping, in my opinion, there is no stopping the electric industry from surpassing the gas industry. And hopefully I'll be able to kind of drive that point home in this episode. But first, I just want to give you guys a little bit of background on the work that I've done in the past to give you guys an idea of where I'm coming from. So I worked in commercial maintenance for just over 4 years. I think I did 5 seasons with that company. And we used all the regular stuff. We used Toro, we used Exmark, I guess we didn't use a lot of Toro, actually. It was primarily Exmark and Hustler, and then we had one Scag. So I've used a lot of gas-powered mowers in my time in the industry, and then I also used all of the regular hand tools. So we primarily used Echo blowers, hedge trimmers, edgers. Did I already say that? Basically everything. It was either Echo. Everything was Echo. So I guess I don't have a lot of experience outside of Echo when it comes to hand tools. But I feel like that's kind of the industry standard in the gas side of things. So I just want you guys to understand that as I start talking about electric tools, I've used a fair amount of gas-powered tools. I know where they're at power-wise. I know they're always advancing too. I haven't, but we were always getting the new equipment, the new Hustlers. We got those pretty often. So I have an idea of where they're at. And even with that knowledge, I still think gas is going to surpass it. So let me try to drive that point home. If we still disagree at the end, that's okay. But I think it's worth talking about. So the company that I use dramatic pause while I take a drink, is Ego. EGO. I have a battery here so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I'm sure you've seen it. Focus on that boy. There you go. That's what they look like. They have this cool button on the top so you can see the battery level. It's pretty cool stuff. I got into Ego because when I was first starting the company, I had a friend who was moving. He was an elderly guy, and he had an Ego push mower that he had been using for a couple years. And as he was moving, he asked if I wanted, or no, that's not true. As he was moving, he asked if my dad wanted to buy it. So my dad bought it from him. And then I started the company and I was mowing dad's grass anyway. And so he just gave me the mower in exchange for me cutting his grass, which I was going to do anyway because he's my dad and I'm where I am because of him. So I got a hold of that Ego push mower. Again, a couple years old, the base model they offer. I put, I don't know how many hours on it, but I used it for the last few months of the 23 season and then an entire 2024 season, and not a single part or aspect of the mower faulted. Nothing broke, nothing stopped working. It is essentially in perfect condition. And I take good care of my tools. They get washed regularly, the blades are always sharp, whatever. But still, you can do that with any mower and they can still break down on you. And this one's primarily made out of plastic. It's a durable, heavy plastic, but it's still plastic. It doesn't have a metal deck. So I was highly impressed. That's all I needed. So I went to Lowe's at the beginning or at the end of 2023 and went ahead and bought everything else. So trimmers, edgers, hedge trimmers, blowers, the whole 9 yards. And I've been nothing but impressed with these tools. So I want to real quick compare my thoughts on the hand tools. So what I was incredibly surprised about is, unlike some of the other brands like Ryobi or like Black & Decker, where the trimmer has like a really short line and it doesn't spin very fast. It's always built at a weird angle for old backs, I guess, so they don't have to bend over at all. They don't really, I don't know. You just know what I'm talking about. They feel like they're going to snap in your hand if you hit something. The Ego trimmer is made out of aluminum, or actually the one I have right now is carbon fiber. It's heavy. Like, it is at least as heavy as the Echoes, if not heavier. And I could get some slack for this. I think it's more powerful. I think the Ego trimmer, the newer ones, are more powerful than the Echo trimmers. So, that's crazy, but I'm going to say I genuinely think it's true. The edgers, very similar to Echo would be. That's what I'm comparing to because that's what I know. The hedge trimmers, are probably lacking a little bit in power, but I know they make more powerful versions than the one I have. So maybe they have a competitive level hedge trimmer. The blower is probably where you start to get the blowers are probably the furthest behind as far as technological innovation in the industry. So they make backpack blowers that function the same way as any other backpack blower would, and you slide 2 batteries in on the back. They're pretty heavy, and the battery life on those is not quite there yet for the big blowers. However, I use a hand blower. I think I have the 670 CFM, cubic feet per minute. That thing blows in a good way. I've done tons of fall cleanups. I've been blowing through super matted down, muddy leaves, and it just cakes them out like anything else I've ever used. It's awkward to use because it's not on my back, and I have to kind of I don't know, it's weird. I have a strap for it, but it's different. But it's getting there. The power on those things is very impressive. So as far as hand tools go, I think it's actually pretty close as far as comparing gas-powered tools to electric-powered tools. Something that I think electric definitely wins on is the multi-head tool system. If you guys don't know what that is, you'll start seeing it around. It's becoming very popular. Ego does it. I don't know if they were the first to do it, but Ryobi does it. I think Milwaukee and DeWalt are both getting in on it. And essentially what it is, you have the body of the tool, which essentially looks like the bottom half of a trimmer, But where the trimmer then extends out of that, you have the rest of the pole and then the head of the trimmer, that's removable. And you can detach it from the power system and put different attachments in. So I can take out the trimmer head and put in an edger, or I could take that out and put in a long hedge trimmer, or an electric pole saw, or a snow shovel. Believe it or not, like a hand-held snow blower. I've used that many times. You can put on one of those bristle brushes that spins really fast, to clean up stuff. Um, there's a plethora. Oh, sorry. There's a plethora of tools that you can put onto this device. And what that means is, one, I don't have to buy 8 different tools. I can buy one power system and just 8 different heads, which saves me a lot of money and a lot of space. Okay, so it's really easy to store all these heads in my trailer. They're just all clip in. It's great. And then my power system hangs on the side. I take that off, click in whatever I need to use it. Once I'm done trimming, unclick that one, throw the edger in, edge it up. It works really well. So that's something that gas-powered stuff currently does not provide. It does not offer. And I don't know how all that technology works. I don't know if that's possible with gas-powered tools. But it is a huge plus for electric, and I'm going to stand by that. Even with the lack of power and electric tools, that makes up for it. So, I already showed you the batteries, but I'm going to show you 2 different ones. So this is the 2.5 amp hour battery. This is what I use for my trimmer. Again, just kind of that multi-head system, as well as the hedge trimmers, which is a separate piece of equipment. I don't use the hedge trimmer attachment on the multi-head. I have a standard 21 inch. It looks just like any hedge trimmer. And this is what I use on that. I've never gone through a full battery using a hedge trimmer. Those things are incredibly efficient and don't use up a whole lot of power. I've gone through, if you use the trimmer long enough, you're going to run through batteries. But what I will say is I carry 4 of these with me every day. Just doing, between 8 and 12 yards a day, and I've never run out of juice. So sometimes I use I'm on my 4th one by the end of the day, but I've never run out of juice. And then, so that's the 2.5 amp hour. This is the 4 amp hour. It's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit bigger. It's definitely heavier. And this is what I use for the blowers. And again, they're so efficient. I bring 2 of these with me every day, and I rarely get through one whole battery. So I always have a backup, which is good, but I never use it. And then what I don't have with me at the moment, because I didn't grab it, is the 7.5 amp hour batteries for the mower. I think I actually use 6 amp hours, but I have a 7.5. Anyway, one 6 amp hour mower battery will get me through a whole day's work. I rarely run out of it. It can usually last 10 yards or so. If for some reason I mow through a wet lawn or something really tall and the mower struggles a bit and drains some of the battery, every once in a while I'll have to use my backup 4 amp hour battery. But again, I've been running with this rig for over a year, so a season and a half of straight mowing, and I've never once run out of juice. For a long time, when I first started the rig, I put a big old 6,500 watt generator in the back of my truck, and I ran cable from that generator into the trailer where chargers were at. So if something happened, I could just turn on the generator and all the batteries would charge. I rode with that for a couple of months. I never even got close to having to use it, and it was taking up a lot of space, and it's a couple hundred pounds, so I got rid of it, and I've never had an issue. So, in a really bad pinch, you can get an inverter for your truck that would be able to charge a battery. But again, if you just prepare and you bring the right amount of batteries, you're just not going to run into that issue. A huge argument for why gas-powered tools are better than electric is when a gas-powered tool runs out of gas, you can just fill it back up and keep going instantly, which is true. And I'm not going to argue with that. That is something that you don't get with electric tools. But the amount of times that comes into play with the kind of work I'm doing, it's not really a problem. So it's not really a point for gas, if that makes sense. So that's my kind of argument for electric tools. I think there's plenty of pros. They're much quieter. Much easier to keep clean because you're not worried about gas and oil, so they don't smell. They're easier to keep clean, which is important for me at least with how heavily I focus on appearance. They tend to be a little bit lighter, easier to use. They can offer some cooler features, like again the charging level on the batteries is visible, which is cool. There's some touch capability on all of the devices. Depending on how high up you go, all of the tools have mini touch screens on them, which is actually really interesting. I really like that. So there's just like those fun little things that are fun to use, but also do benefit the tool experience. Now, there is one area of the industry that I don't think electric tools have surpassed gas-powered tools yet. And that's definitely the commercial side of things. So remember where I'm coming from. I do small residential maintenance. It is rare that I'm at a property longer than 30 minutes. It's rare that I'm mowing at a property for longer than 20 minutes. I don't cut commercial properties, which is what I used to do at the other company. So if you're cutting commercial properties, you got a strip mall, you got a church, you got a school, something with a lot of grass, this is probably not going to work for you. Ego does provide zero turns. They have a 60-inch ride-on, and I believe I just saw they announced like a 48-inch stand-on, which both look insane. And they're completely functional. They actually do work really well. There are rigs that you can look up on YouTube that are full electric that run off of those batteries, and they use those mowers, and it works. And they find ways to make it work. They put solar panels on the trailer, so it's always charging the batteries, and it works. But if you're running these mowers 8 hours a day at some of the properties I used to cut, we'd be there most of the day just mowing nonstop. It's not going to work. We're just not there yet. The only way you could possibly make that work is if you had like 2 or 3 extra sets of batteries on the side. But at that point, you might as well buy a new mower because a 6-pack of 12 amp hour batteries is almost the price of the mower itself. So it doesn't really make sense. It's not super practical in that scope. But if you're doing residential maintenance, which I think a lot of us are, at least as we work our way up to commercial, we could talk about this later. I don't really have a strong goal to get to commercial, but if that's the goal, to work your way up, I think this is actually a great move. I really do. I think it's definitely worth everybody looking into. I've just gotten really good feedback from my clients using electric tools. One, they think it's fascinating. A lot of people don't know how, like the progress that's been made in the industry. So a lot of people think Ryobi when I say electric, and I'm like, no, there are commercial grade lines of electric tools now, and they think it's fascinating. Two, they really are quieter, and I spent a lot of time trying to figure out how to make our services as little of a disturbance to my client and their neighbors, and electric tools is probably the biggest piece in that. I have been mowing a backyard, and the client comes out to walk their dog, and I scare them when they come around the corner because they didn't hear me mowing. And you know when you like walk outside and you hear a mower and you can't see where it is because it's like 3 streets down, but because it's gas, it's that loud? You don't have to worry about that with electric. There's no engine running. All you hear is the blades moving really fast. So there's a lot of pros to that on the residential side. There's more I could talk about. I could go on and on, to be honest. I don't think anything else I say is going to be more helpful to you guys than that. But I would just encourage you guys to look into it. Do your research. Figure out what works best for you. I think electric is going to progress faster than gas in the next 5-10 years. And so if you guys can get on that train earlier and make it work for you, I think it'll pay off in the future. That's what I'm hoping for. But, of course, there's always room for the gas-powered tools in the industry. I think it's going to be a while before they're just not useful. It's going to be a while before electric gets so good that's not even a question. But for what I'm doing and for what I think a lot of you guys are doing, it's worth questioning, should I switch to electric tools? So there's my bit. I would love to hear you guys' thoughts and views on this. So if you guys could leave it in the comments on this podcast or DM me at either Kaleo Lawn Care on Instagram or at the Lawn Road Pod on Instagram. That's where I am the most engaged online. So if you guys could do that, I'd love to converse with you guys about this topic. I think that's it for the day. Yeah, guys, I'm trying to build a community here. I'm trying to build a community of lawn care professionals who want to build better businesses. And I know they're out there, and I'm a part of some of them. This is my way of hopefully just adding to that. So if you guys would enjoy this, please share it with your lawn care friends. Whether you're cutting grass all day or you own a company yourself, I'd love for you guys to be a part of this, and we can all kind of grow together. So hope you guys enjoyed the episode. I will see you guys next week. Have a blessed week.